Hello everybody, I am the Linkzilla, and welcome back to the Ultimate Doom. Yep, it's been a while, so it's been definitely a while since I've done any recording for the channel, but, well, let's face it, I did an entire video on that, and that video ended off with saying, let's play some Doom, so let's play some Doom. Effectively speaking, I decided that, an easy way to get back into it would basically do another playthrough of the Ultimate Doom that basically I had done for the channel. When I had done it last time, I basically, had done it for the Countdown to Eternity marathon that I did for the channel, and, well, back then, I did it on my, older laptop that wasn't nearly as powerful, so it basically took me a while to realize that bigger machine, more power, thus a smoother frame rate. So I ended up playing the Plutonia on this big machine, so now I decided that it's a good idea to go back and redo my old playthroughs of the first two Doom games, so especially because now I have the ability to give commentary on them. And I will be playing the Brutal Doom mod as well as the Ultimate Doom Visor mod because, well, I really like those. So let's just get into it, shall we? So I gotta also basically say that, the first time I played the Ultimate Doom for the channel, I was using an older version of Brutal Doom. They actually came up with an update. They actually updated Brutal Doom the week that I started playing, that campaign, or the week that I finished it, before I started the Doom 2 one. So for the Doom 2 one, I downloaded the new one, and you can basically tell that there's a difference. It is a bit more difficult, and, well, they definitely changed up some things. So this time I'm playing the new version of Brutal Doom, and we're going to go back to Knee Deep in the Dead. I'm going to be playing realism mode, and it's going to be the hard realism mode because I just got used to it. Now, take 700% more damage, enemies have half hit points. Ultra-violent enemy count, press enter to confirm. Effectively speaking, this is the difficulty that teaches you how to, well, for want of a better term, do the Doom dance, because you can't get hit with this kind of difficulty. So, I'm going to set up my save file now. Yeah, these are all the maps that I basically did with my dad. I figured that if he got stuck anywhere, I could just easily, go to one of these maps and basically help him out. Yeah, Into the Cruel, that's where I left off, but time to start a new one. John the Guy Walker is back. You see what I mean? And yeah, I'm a save scummer. I don't give a shit. Because now I've got a shotgun. Ho ho ho. I love this thing. I love this helmet. And now I've got a machine gun. Ho ho ho. I really do like I like playing the Brutal Doom mod, and I like playing the Visor mod, but I can't help but feel like lately I've basically I've become privy to the fact that Brutal Doom has an unfavorable reputation in the Doom modding community, and I can't understand why that is. And, well, basically I've got a lot of things to say about it, because whenever you join any kind of community, elitism is one of those things that you're just going to have to deal with, because, there are always going to be those purists who think that they're always going to be always going to know better than you. They're always going to basically, condemn you for doing the slightest thing wrong. It's except the thing with the Doom community is that the entire Doom community literally agrees that the modding of classic Doom games... Seriously, where did that guy come from? The modding of classic Doom games is what has kept Doom as a game alive all this time. It's what gives it such longevity and replay value, because you basically can change your experience in playing Doom to where you can never really experience Doom the same way twice. So, effectively speaking, that's the point of modding. So, now, one of the arguments that I heard against Brutal Doom is that they're basically tired of hearing that it's the absolute best Doom mod that there is. I would basically say it is so, because it basically, like, added so much to the game that I find it just an incredible and enjoyable experience no matter what. But I can understand why people would get irritated by that, because, believe you me, I understand the grievance that comes with having so many obnoxious fanboys basically saying that this one thing is the greatest thing ever when you can only find flaws with it, or basically are willing to recognize that it's not that good. Effectively speaking, it's exactly how I feel when so many people come out and say that Doom Eternal perfected the Doom franchise. And I'm just left thinking, why is it that you are allowed to say that, and yet other people aren't allowed to say that they like Brutal Doom, that they think that Brutal Doom is the best Doom mod? Because at the end of the day, your words on Doom Eternal are just your opinion, man. So, anyways, effectively speaking, it's that kind of elitism that it's like, it's rules for thee but not for me kind of thing. It's like, I have the authority, I know better than you, so blah blah blah, listen to me, shut up and do as I tell you, whatever. But the simple fact is that, like, effectively, if I find flaws with Doom Eternal, how come basically my flaws are basically, like, dismissed as me not getting it, when you find flaws with Brutal Doom, and, well, they're valid? Can't we just basically agree that in both situations it's because either the games or the mod are just not our cup of tea? That we don't necessarily have to 100% like them. We could be disappointed in what they basically have delivered us. But I'm saying too much on that. I should really be saving that for when I get to the subjective portion of my review. But the point that I'm trying to make here is another reason why Brutal Doom is hated is, well, effectively, like a lot of people, they sort of dislike the guy who created it, Sergeant Mark IV, and they basically have, like, broiled up some kind of controversy surrounding him. I personally think that it's a major non-controversy, because I think that basically what he has done in the creation of this mod is literally no different from what the creators of the original Doom did when basically creating it. Like, I know that I probably talked about it at some point in Plutonia, but I'll have to point it out again when I get there. So, I think it's a total non-controversy, and people are literally looking for an excuse to hate him. Now, if they basically say that he's like, if he like behaves the way that they describe him in his personal life, that's on him. I personally don't give a damn, because that's his personal life, and well, it doesn't affect me in any way, and it certainly doesn't affect the quality of what he has created in terms of this mod, so. But here's the big reason why I think that I get irritated when people hate on Brutal Doom. They say that the only people who play Brutal Doom are a bunch of noobs who have never played or experienced the original vanilla Doom, and are just basically going at it for the excessive gore and violence, and it's like, well, I'll talk about the gore and violence in a minute, but the simple fact is, I am not a noob when it comes to playing Doom. I have been playing this game literally since I was 4 years old. Not to say that I actually got far at it at 4 years old, but I've played it on and off over the years since I was 4 years old, all the way up to my first year of college. And you know what I found? Playing it all the way to college, and then finally getting a copy of Doom 2 to play that as well. I basically had gone through the games so many times, all the way through college, and I got to a point where I had to sit there and admit to myself that this didn't impress me anymore. That I basically had played it so many times that, well, I just sort of got bored with it. Not to say I don't love the original vanilla Doom. Hell, I friggin' love the Doom. I love Ultimate Doom. In fact, I actually kind of prefer Ultimate Doom to Doom 2, if that makes any sense, but I'll have to get into my thoughts on something like that a bit later. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that... Whew, that was a close one. It's the same as with the save scumming. It's like this whole elitist idea that if you're not playing Doom a certain way, then you don't your opinion is somehow invalidated. But anyways, but I'll sort of get into what it is about the whole noob argument. It's like, I basically had played it all so much that I sort of got used to Doom, which is really saying something, because you remember how I said that I was playing this game since I was 4 years old? The game didn't scare me because I didn't realize what the game was. There's an entire anecdote about that I don't have time to get into right now, but the point of the matter is that my older brother was better at playing Doom than I was, and he was dead terrified of the game. So, effectively speaking, the game resulted in giving him nightmares, so the idea that basically, like, there was this game that I found to be fun that my older brother was afraid of, I really basically, like, wanted to get invested in it. I wanted to basically, like, try it out. I wanted to beat it. I wanted to see how far I could get with it if I couldn't beat it, and, well, eventually, before long, I sort of got used to it. I learned what the story was. I learned that it was about demons from hell, and I gotta admit, I was surprised when I realized that. It's like, wait a second. They mean the actual hell? I thought that these, like, were, I don't know, mutants and whatnot. Heck, I thought the Baron of Hell was just like a minotaur or something. Or maybe I thought that he was a guy with really pink skin. I don't know. Anyway, the point is that I didn't necessarily, like, put two and two together. But the point is, I long since have, and, well, looking back on it, it's like, it should be a bit more, I think, scary or threatening, or maybe a bit more, have a bit more of a punch than it does, but it sort of lost that punch after a while. And, well, I just basically wanted something that could refreshen my experiences with Doom. Make it to where I was looking at the game with entirely new, fresh eyes all over again. And the ironic thing is, they literally agree that is what the Doom modding community is for. It increases the longevity of the game, because you can change it any way that you want to the point where your playthrough of Doom can vary so greatly depending on what mod combination you use. You basically have the ability to go through Doom never in the same way twice. That's how much variation there's been over the years, and so much the fan community, fan-made WADs, map packs and whatnot. There's literally so much that you can do with this game. It is so versatile. So I get kind of irritated because it seems like hypocrisy. It's like Sergeant Mark is basically, like, doing this game to express himself in order to basically, like, see what it is that he can create and put out there, and if it basically takes off. It has, and it's so successful, people are saying it's probably one of the best expansions that Doom has basically ever had, to the point where literally John Carmack and John Romero have seen footage of Brutal Doom, they've played Brutal Doom themselves, and they are proud of it. Literally speaking, they said, if we had made anything like this back in the 90s, it would have ended the gaming industry right there, because effectively, like, that is how impressed they were with this thing. So I can't help but feel like it's all motivated by some kind of pettiness. Oh, that's supposed to be the chain gun, but it's not, because this is one of the things that I love most about Brutal Doom. Now, when I started playing Doom 2, one of the main things that I wanted from that game was to experience the super shotgun, because it was the only new weapon in that game. And when you realize that it's the only new weapon, you can't help but feel a little bit cheated, I should think, because Doom should have basically invented a whole lot more weapons to use instead of giving us just one. But let's face it, Doom 2 is just a glorified map and monster pack, but we'll get to that. I wanted more weapons. I wanted new weapons. And this is one of the new weapons that you can use in Doom, in Brutal Doom. This is, what do they call this? The machine gun. It's ironic because that's what me and my family used to call the chain gun. We called it the machine gun. So this thing basically is as powerful as a chain gun. It just has a slower rate of fire, but I don't care. I like it cuz it can friggin' shoot grenades. It's basically a rocket launcher and a machine gun rolled into one. I'm saving the soul sphere for later, because I want to leave with maximum health capacity. Yeah, I've already been up there. So, it really does come out of a sense of jealousy and basically, like, really arrogance and elitism. So, the people who like Brutal Doom, we're not noobs. We just want the same thing what everybody who plays a modded version of Doom wants. A new Doom experience, because we've basically, like, played Vanilla Doom all our lives, and we want to tackle a different sort of challenge. Like, here's another thing. Like, they say that the Brutal Doom mod becomes too easy, and I can understand what their argument is, but you guys just saw, like, in Brutal Doom, one single mistake fucks up your entire run, which is why I'm basically saving and going back as much as I can, because I feel like I shouldn't be making these kinds of mistakes. Effectively speaking, I'm playing realism mode. And in realism mode, I can't believe that I'm saying this, but bullets hurt in realism mode. Effectively speaking, you as the player take 700% more damage than you're supposed to in the regular version of the game. And the reason for that's the drawback. The payoff is that your guns are a lot more devastating to enemies. Like, look at it. I'm blasting these guys away with a shotgun, whereas it would work that way with the zombiemen in the original game, but with an imp, I'd probably need about 2 shells to bring them down. The thing about it is that shotguns do a lot of damage, and, well, things of what you just saw of that guy in the dark. I'll have to go into detail about that later, but yeah, your weapons are more effective, but that doesn't basically mean that your overall strategy for the game basically is non-existent. Because just because the guns are more effective doesn't mean that every single gun is good for every single scenario. I mean, it's like in Doom Eternal, where the opposite is true. All of your guns are basically less effective, so you gotta find basically the right key combination in order to basically, like, find out which gun hurts the demons the most. And that right there doesn't feel like it frees up your ability to strategize or improvise. It feels like this is the way the game is basically telling you this is like one style that you have to do it. Come up with any variation that you want, but in the end you have to do it this way. But, like I said, that's when I get to talking about Doom Eternal. So, I'm probably going to keep these videos short. Like, I'm probably going to keep them down to 1-2 levels, 1-2 maps per video. So, probably be done once I'm done with this map. So, anyways. And I just find that so many people find so many flaws with this, and it's like most of the flaws that you're finding that you're taking umbrage with, because you're not actually finding anything wrong with them, you're just saying that you don't like them, they're optional. They are things that you can literally turn off and on in the menus. So if you want your Brutal Doom experience to be a bit more vanilla, which I don't know why you're playing Brutal Doom if you do, then turn off all those quality of life changes and stick to basically the vanilla settings. As for me, I'm playing Brutal Doom because I am choosing to play the Brutal Doom experience. And I'm doing it for the same reason that I use the Ultimate Doom Visor mod, because, believe it or not, well, one of the weirdest arguments I've heard lately is that Brutal Doom is cartoonish and over the top. And I just don't get that. I mean, I really don't, because here's basically my argument right here. I just shot that guy in the arm, and it blew his arm off. Now, you might be thinking, well, that's over the top and cartoonish. I shot off his arm with a shotgun. Yeah, you guys know how powerful shotguns can be? Especially like when they're shooting spread pellets. Effectively, and that guy was a zombie. He's basically being held together by decaying flesh and tissues. Effectively speaking, I shot him in the arm, and his arm, right-wise, fell off. And then when he used his other arm to pull another gun on me, I rightly shot him in the head and took his entire skull off. That is what I would expect when I'm playing, and when I would actually do something like this IRL. That's why I'm playing realism mode, and that's why I'm using the visor. I'm doing this for a more, quote, realistic and more immersive experience. Effectively speaking, I could shoot these guys in the head, and they lose their head. I could shoot them in the leg, that leg falls off. Sure, they're spraying a whole lot of blood, but nobody gives a crap when Mortal Kombat does that. I don't find this cartoonish. I find it to be a much more realistic interpretation of what Doom would be like if you were to actually go through it, with being able to blast away your enemies apart like this. So, instead of giving just the same death animation over and over again, because that kind of stuff gets stale. And I mean, this mod can be so creative with what it does. I've got footage of, like, this one campaign that I did where one of the zombie men came up to me without a head and started attacking me. It's like, holy crap, these guys can lose their heads and keep on coming. That is what I expect from zombies. So I don't consider this cartoonish. I don't consider it cartoonish at all. And I don't know how people can consider it cartoonish. And what's ironic is the people who consider it cartoonish, they're the biggest hypocrites. Because, well, first let me just get into like one last little bit of an anecdote. These people's definition of cartoonish, that does not match my definition of cartoonish, which is the reality's definition of cartoonish. Because the real definition of cartoonish is, well, let me just basically say that if I were to actually show these people what cartoonish actually meant, and given in their minds the context of how they apply it to Brutal Doom, they would probably think of something horrifying. Like, you guys ever seen that Twilight Zone movie that remade 3 classic Twilight Zone episodes, and one of them was the one about that kid with the godlike powers? During that movie, he uses his powers to create a cartoon rabbit, and the thing is nightmarish because it's basically a cartoon that's being brought into the live-action world, and it looks like something out of a Tim Burton nightmare. Or would that be a Tim Burton wet dream? A Tim Burton fever dream? I don't know. Tim's got too many dreams. I love this thing. I love it so much. I want it inside me. Anyways, so what did I mean about these people being hypocrites? Well, well, for one thing, these are the same people who love and play the Duke Nukem games, and they don't give all that much of a crap about Duke Nukem being cartoonish. But what's even more is that they don't give a crap about Doom being cartoonish either. So, what do I mean by that? Well, it's one of the arguments that I really just don't understand and don't agree with, because somewhere along the lines, someone got it into their heads that the original Doom, as a concept, is cartoonish, over the top, and silly. I honestly don't know what reality you're from, where an invasion of demons from hell trying to take over not just the Earth, but also the solar system and kill everyone that they find and stands in their way, as cartoonish. I honestly think that you need to discuss some of these issues that you're having in order to basically, like, figure out why you can take such a serious situation so lightly. Because Doom, this kind of shit right here, this isn't cartoonish. This is serious. I know that everybody looks at Doom Guy nowadays as this unstoppable killing machine that's just basically mowing down hordes of enemies that basically are, and just having a wild time all the time. That's not what Doom was. That's what Doom became. In this game, however, he is a lone Marine who is stranded in a hostile environment, as far removed from humanity and civilization as a human being could realistically get in his world, and no one is coming to help him. He is completely on his own and must survive against a horde of hostile enemy creatures that no one has ever seen or heard from or heard of before, and has no experience combating. This guy is in the pinnacle of a stress environment. So it really comes off as, like, incredibly tone deaf that so many people think that, oh, this game is just silly and over-the-top violence. You don't need to think about it. No, this is the kind of stuff that I think that people do need to think about, because it's a good story. And I know that, and that's what I hate, when so many people misinterpret Doom 2016 for basically, like, taking a shot at Doom 3's storytelling. But the simple fact is, just because it basically, like, has a different way of telling the story doesn't mean that the story doesn't matter. It's just part of Doom Guy's personality at this point, that he's done this 5 times before, because friggin' Doom Eternal confirmed that, and he's basically telling Samuel Hayden, I don't work for the UAC anymore. I'm not listening to what you have to say. I'm here to do a job, and that's to clean up your mess. So, and here's really the biggest thing that irritates me, is that they use this as a justification to justify why Doom Eternal is the way it is, why it was a smart idea to abandon the relatively serious nature that Doom 2016 had and take a more cartoonish and over-the-top role. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that had nothing to do with justifying how rubber all the character models look and basically how unrealistic it is. So, but anyways, it's like, that's basically what I'm saying. You guys don't like Brutal Doom because you think it's cartoonish, and yet you love Doom Eternal because it's cartoonish. I mean, what exactly do you guys want? This is why I really basically think that, like, the whole argument, the whole debate about Doom Eternal needs to be re-examined, because people were just shutting me down for not getting good. I beat Ultra Nightmare. I've got the gold skin. I've done the Doom Dance. I have gotten as good could get in that game. So, at what point will people start listening to me and say that maybe the game isn't as good as people give it credit for? That maybe, with a few tweaks, it could have been a lot better. So, if you guys are basically like willing to hate on Doom Eternal of Brutal Doom for completely subjective values, then why are my subjective values for Doom Eternal somehow not valid? Anyways, this has been a bit of a rant, but it got me through the level, and, well, here we are at the end, and I have no idea how long it's taken, so... But I'd say that's enough for an episode, so let's get on to it, shall we? So that was the nuclear plant. The best part about it is that it really feels refreshing going through the old Doom levels again, like going back to an old playground that you've been away from for a while. And I want to keep playing Doom on this channel. I want to basically like do another proper playthrough of these episodes, 2 maps at a time. And I also want to branch out and start playing other WADs, other map packs for Doom, because I know I still have to play TNT Evolution, even though a lot of people don't like it. And I want to do what looks like a sequel that somebody made, because there's TNT Evolution, and then there's TNT Revolution, as in Revolution. So, effectively speaking, I saw the final chapter for that one, and it looks awesome. It is scratching me right where I itch. I want to check that out. I want to see about checking out Alien Vendetta. I want to check out Doom Zero. There's so many different fan WADs that I just want to check out, and I want to play them for the channel. So, anyways, but just take what I sort of said about all this stuff, because it's like, I really think that Brutal Doom provides a bit more of a realistic take on how you basically could go, because I love Vanilla Doom, and I still play Vanilla Doom every now and then in my most private moments, but with Brutal Doom, I just basically have a bit more of the freedom that I would expect of being in a situation like this. In Vanilla Doom, you can't look up, you can't look up, you can't jump, your only melee attack is the fist, so, and your arsenal just really doesn't feel all that impressive. I mean, I would basically think that if you were actually in this situation, you would basically be doing all that you could to survive. Like, take what I basically did at the beginning of this map when I was in that situation. I rolled out of the way of incoming enemy fire and basically, like, got them when I completed my roll, so... The fact that you can't do that in the original game, it's just something to think about. Now, I get it, like, the limitations of hardware and technology, but, well, like I said, we'll just have to sort of talk about it all. I still play Vanilla Doom. It's not like playing Brutal Doom has ruined the experience for me, so what I'm just basically saying is that, like, I don't hate this mod, and I don't understand the people that do. I mean, if you don't like it, just say that it's not your cup of tea. Like, especially just say that it's not your cup of tea or anything like that. Don't try and come up with nonsensical reasons as for why it's not good, especially if you don't like the guy who created it. I'm all for basically not liking something because you don't like the creator of who made it, but in this situation, I honestly don't find what he did to be all that wrong. So... Anyways, and plus, it's like, I find it funny because the guy that I'm referring to that basically, like, did all this, he ended up playing Brutal Doom in the same video that he played with Doom 1. I have done that combination. I've played Brutal Doom and Doom 1 on the same map, and the ironic thing is, and that I knew was coming, he ended up finding more flaws with Doom 1 than he did with Brutal Doom, despite seemingly making that video to complain about Brutal Doom. And what's ironic is, he didn't even get far enough to where you basically get in Doom 1. What is Doom 1? Doom 1 is basically like an interesting mod that takes all 8, possibly 9 areas of this here map of the Phobos base and links them all into one single map. Instead of going to the exit for each level, you walk down a hallway or a bonus room, and you end up in the next area. You end up in the next map. It's all one big giant continuous thing, and it's really impressive because it adds to the immersive experience, and I liked playing it. The problem is that it has it has a roadblock. Back when I played Doom 1, I got to the penultimate level right before the Phobos anomaly, and there's a bonus level where you end up going to hell, where you end up fighting creatures from the Heretic and Hexen game. So I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was impressive that they included that, but the problem is there's a glitch that prevents you from leaving. No matter what I do, I can't get out of that level to go to the Phobos anomaly without cheating. And the worst part about it is, the guy who made the mod has long since abandoned it. There's no way to actually finish the Phobos anomaly because he just stopped updating it. So I find it funny. A video basically dedicated to bashing Brutal Doom ends up basically like showing that Brutal Doom was the better of the two mods that he was playing. So, but anyways, I've basically shown to be salty enough. So, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please just smash that subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications. It has been a while since I've said that. You want to keep up to date with more of the Ultimate Doom coming your way in the future, the continuing adventures of John the Guy Walker, well, you know what to do. So, in the meantime, I'll catch you guys in the next video when we head to the Toxin Refinery. Later!